You don't deserve to be happy. No, I don't actually mean that because I don't actually know you, and I picked that title because it made you click this video. But what I do know for sure is that no one is entitled to happiness. And you might say, well, Andrew, you're diving into a realm where we're making big generalizations about very nuanced topics that are mostly human concepts and cultural in nature. And I'll say, well, yes, you're absolutely right. This is dangerous territory. But it's important because we talk about it a lot, especially in Western society. We talk about how happiness is always the end goal for everyone, and we talk about things like depression and anxiety and stress as if they're bad and they're abnormal and we're not supposed to have them. And if you do have depression or anxiety or stress or bipolar or ADHD or anything, if you're off of the normal scale, if you're not happy all the time, then there's something wrong with you. But we all know deep down inside the truth is nobody is happy all of the time. In fact, a lot of us suffer from a lot of the same problems. So what is it then? Why all of this talk about happiness? Why does everyone always want to be happy all of the time? It's a good question. And I would argue it doesn't make any sense. Now I'm going to ask you a question that you don't have the experience or the wisdom or the knowledge or the information to answer. I don't either. But it's an important question that I want you to ponder. And the question is, would life even be enjoyable if you were always happy? Would life be meaningful? Would it be enjoyable if we never died? If we couldn't die? Even if we tried to die, we couldn't. What if we lived forever and we had no say in the matter? What if we were always happy? How would we learn? How would we even know that we were happy, especially if we had never experienced being depressed or sad or anxious or stressed or any of those things? If we'd never experienced them at all, we wouldn't even know that happiness was a thing. We wouldn't have to have a word for it because it would just be our constant state of being. And even if we had experienced negative emotions like sadness or anger, if we'd experienced those in the past, how long would it take until we forgot them? How long until those negative emotions and all of the lessons and the things that they taught us about ourselves, the truths that they showed us about the world we live in and the people that we actually are, how long until all of that would get washed away by the waters of time? I think being happy all the time would be really boring. And I think that's because we're not meant to be happy all the time. In fact, think about some of the worst mistakes you ever made. Think about some of the dumbest things you've ever tried to do. Were you happy? Were you too happy? I love being happy, but when I'm happy, I get lazy. I let my guard down. I have lapses in judgment, and I do dumb things, and I get in trouble, especially when I was younger. Happiness is not supposed to be a permanent state. Happiness is almost like a reward. It's a consequence for when something happens. It is your brain's way of telling you something good just happened. We should elevate our mood so we can maximize our enjoyment and also make sure we're experiencing big emotions so that we form a strong memory and we create an attachment in our brain to what happened and what was said and what was done in this person in this place, because the brain needs to know what happened here. And if we're really happy right now, we'll remember it. But being happy all the time would just cause chaos. I think all of the heightened emotions would become meaningless. So not only is happiness not the end goal, and we're not supposed to be happy all the time, and we should stop acting like it, but secondly, you're not entitled to happiness. I'm not entitled to happiness. I can tell you right now that when I was in my worst place, when I was tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, I was depressed, I was anxious, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I had a failing business and I was just not taking care of myself. It's because my life wasn't in order. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was trying very hard to do the right thing. I was trying to figure it out. And I knew that I had problems in my life and I wanted to fix them, but I didn't deserve happiness at that moment in my life. In that period of my existence, I did not deserve to be happy because I hadn't earned it. And my brain knew that. My brain knew that there were big problems with my life. And so I was stressed, I was depressed, and I was anxious because I was in fight or flight mode. My brain knew that my life could break. It could collapse in on itself. Things could keep getting worse. And all these sirens were going off because I needed to fix it. I needed to fix the problems in my life. When people are stressed or depressed or anxious, most of the time, And I don't have any hard data to back this up, and this is a very nuanced topic, so you can get angry and yell at me in the comments if you need to, but it's nuanced. And I'm not saying this as a blanket statement, but I am going to say that from my experience as a coach, and from my experience as a human in dealing with lots and lots of humans throughout my life, both professionally and non-professionally, most of the time when we're sad or anxious or depressed or stressed out or unable to focus, it's because there are things wrong with our life. There are problems. And there will always be problems, right? There will always be problems of varying degrees of severity. And it's our job as people, or in my job as a life coach and a business coach, to figure out what those problems are, how severe they are, and where the roots are dug in so we can start hacking away at the roots and pull this thing out. Once you expose the problem and you acknowledge it, it's easy to figure out why it's there, why it's growing, why it's getting worse, why it's getting better, and ultimately figure out how to get rid of it. But the more you lie to yourself and the more you pretend that there's something wrong with you, that there aren't any problems with your life, and the more you try to convince yourself that you deserve to be happy, you don't deserve what's happening to you right now, and there's just something that you're missing. It's a pill, it's a book you haven't read, it's you need to buy an online course and just do this one thing, or try that. If you just find that one thing, it'll fix it all. The more you lie to yourself, the more you bury those problems. You bury them until one day you're forced to dig them out. You're forced to have an excavation, because if you don't, well, a lot of bad things can happen if you don't face your problems. A lot of bad things can happen if you keep trying to run. So I'm not here to tell you that you don't deserve to be happy, because we all deserve the same things. We all deserve the opportunity to be better, the chance to pursue the things we want, the pursuit of happiness and freedom and monetary rewards and emotional rewards. We all deserve to be included and treated as a human being and served equally under the law. But do we all deserve to be happy? Do we want to always be happy? You see, pain is another unpleasant thing. Physical pain is a lot like emotional pain. It's not nice when it happens, when you touch a stove and it burns you. However, I would always opt in to keep my physical pain, because if I didn't, I could die and not know it. You see, I had appendicitis in the 6th grade. I think I was 12 or 13 years old. We were playing GameCube, and for some reason my stomach just started hurting, and I thought I ate something bad. 30 minutes went by, and it kept getting worse, and I said, oof, I really ate something bad. An hour went by, and it was just excruciating pain. It was no longer in my stomach. It felt like it was really deep inside my torso, and it was just pulsating. And I was like, there's no way that your mother's hamburgers that she cooked for dinner, there's no way that those did this to me. A couple hours went by, and I had to call my mom, and I was in the hospital before I knew it. And then 6 hours later, I was under the knife, and they were cutting my appendix out because it was filling with bacteria, and if I had waited any longer, it may have burst, and my body would have gone septic, and I could have died. A lot of people who have burst appendixes, they die. Without my ability to feel that pain, I never would have known anything was wrong. Nobody likes physical pain. No one likes being sick. No one likes getting punched or getting a paper cut or accidentally touching the stove, but we know it serves a function. We know it serves a purpose. That pain is there to tell us when something is wrong. It's there to keep us alive. It's there to let us know, hey, you made a mistake. Something bad's happening to you. Maybe this isn't your fault, but you need to check this out right now. That's what the pain is there for. And so my big question for you is, why do we treat our mind any differently? Why do we think about our psychology so differently? Why is mental illness such a taboo? Why do we have to diagnose everything and put everyone in these neat little boxes with labels and categories so that you can just say, I have this, I'm that, this is why I'm that way? Like, it's not constructive. Humans love to be organized, we love to make sense of things, and we like clear-cut lines. We don't like the fact that politics are nuanced. We don't like the fact that religion is kind of different for each and every person. We don't like the fact that mental illness is a thing and it's very real, but some people are misdiagnosed and some people don't give themselves enough credit and some people just aren't fixing what's wrong with their life. We don't like the complications. We don't like the gray area. We don't like the nuances and the complexities because it makes us think a little too hard sometimes. It makes us realize things about ourselves that we don't necessarily like. It makes us realize that there are things wrong with our life that we might rather just ignore or dismiss, or just use someone else's word or term or title because it takes the blame off of us. But your emotional pain, your sadness, your anger, your regret, your anxiety, your inability to focus, your brain fog, your scattered thoughts, your daydreaming, all of it to some degree, in some way, is probably just a pain signal from your body. It's telling you that somewhere in your life you've been touching a stove. Something in your life is getting worse, and it might burst, and your brain might go septic, your career might go septic, your relationships might start to wither away. So I'm going to close with this. It's not that you don't deserve to be happy. Odds are you deserve to be happy, but you also deserve to be sad. You deserve to be angry. You deserve to be confused. You deserve to be content. You deserve to be worked up. You deserve to be frustrated. All of these things are part of the human experience. We've been evolving on this planet. We've been growing and changing and progressing as a species for thousands and thousands of years. There's no telling how far our roots go down and in how many directions. There's so much we don't know about ourselves. But we do know that a lot of these things, a lot of these emotions and these feelings and these circumstances are just part of the human experience. And I think it's time for us to stop being so scared of them, and to stop being so hard on ourselves, and to stop running from the things that terrify us. Stop trying to deny that there are shadows inside of you. We all have a shadow inside of us. We all carry baggage and burdens that we shouldn't, and we care too much about certain things and we care too little about others. We've been reckless, we've been wise. We've loved and we've been loved, and we've hated and we've been hated. And I think those things have probably been pretty consistent across the entire timeline of human existence. So why do we suddenly feel a need to fight it? A big part of being happy is just accepting the things that you can't change. And until we get to a place where we can somehow, in a meaningful way, erase negative emotions from the human brain completely and live in a permanent state of intelligent bliss, I don't even know if that's possible. Until we get there, this is what we have. We've got to stop acting like there's something wrong with being human, because there's not. Some of the most meaningful moments in my entire adult life were when I was at rock bottom, when I was depressed, when I was having a panic attack. These things taught me so much about myself, and they also told me what was wrong, and they showed me the things that I needed to fix. And I had to step up as a husband and as a father, as a son, as a brother, as a friend, as a business person. I had to step up and recognize that I couldn't be perfect. I couldn't fix all of these things perfectly, but I could fix them enough so that my life and my emotions became more balanced, and I became a better person. And now, when I'm happy, I know that I've earned it. And I know it's part of my experience. I hope this video helps some of you. If you're struggling with bad emotions and negativity and depression or anxiety, just know that things do pass. Life tends to be cyclical, and some people do have real conditions. There's problems with neurotransmitters, there's things going on in their brain, and they need help. Everyone needs a little bit of help. And whether it's medication, whether it's therapy, whether it's just talking to a friend or reading a self-help book, that's up for you to decide. And I recommend you try everything that's available to you and find a solution that's good for you. But just remember, life is complicated. It's nuanced. None of us really understand what's going on. And a lot of times, despite what we think, it doesn't depend on anyone else. It doesn't depend on any other opinions. It doesn't depend on the world. It just depends on you accepting what's happening and finding a way to fix what you can and live with what you can. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. I am Coach Andrew. I post self-development videos all the time. I have a series called Ask Coach Andrew where you can submit a question to the email in the description. I'll answer it in a video. You can also check out the Seeking Clear podcast, which is a podcast all about improving your life, self-development, and finding clarity about difficult things in life, concepts that are hard to understand, hard to agree with, hard to face, life can be kind of scary sometimes, and it can be kind of difficult. So that's what we talk about on this channel. It's what we talk about on the podcast. I'm here to help you make your life better. I appreciate all your support. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I wish you nothing but the best with your journey, whatever path you're walking on. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.